And good morning to you. It's on this Thursday, the uh, 12th day, no, the 11th day of February. And is it, what's the date? Is the date
12.
11th? The 12th?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, my watch a little bit off. I got that. I thought it was the 12th. Today is a special day, and I hope that you are engaging in the voting process. Early voting starts today, and we'll run through. I don't have it on my calendar here. I have my calendar in front of me, but it starts today. So you need to be out there. I think this Sunday it will also would be sold to the polls, and so it was actually opened up at I think 2 o'clock, but I'm not sure about that. But anyway, this Sunday is sold to the polls. So want you to be engaged with that. Again, welcome back to the morning show. Your host Troy Williams, producing today is the Reverend Carl A. Brinkley, and we're excited about a couple of guests that we have in with us now. And so we're going to have Mr. James Freeman and also Mr. Julius Cook, right? Julius Cook, but we're going to be talking about some incredible things that's going on here in our community here with those two gentlemen. The weather has bounced back. You thought it was spring for a couple of days, and now you've been reminded that it's winter again. So I don't know, man. And they talked about there's a front that's moving in for this weekend, but I think it's just going to be rain. So it's not going to be cold enough to produce anything else, but that's kind of stuff it's going to be. But anyway, back to Mr. Cook and Mr. Freeman both being in the studio with us. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Troy. How you doing again?
I do well at this time. Anyway, so excited about having this gentleman in. Basically, Mr. Cook's been in before, and we talked about a number of things, and so he's connected with this young man here, Mr. James A. Freeman. He wears a number of hats. I won't get into all of that. So he has a day job, but I don't need him for that.
Never know, man. I'm a beardologist too.
Oh, you're a beardologist? Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, well, okay, yeah, I guess I hadn't thought about that. You're right. But he's a barber, and but today we're going to be talking about him, his function as an author and an executive publisher. And so welcome to the station and to the morning show, Mr. Freeman.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm James Freeman, professionally known as Freezy the Barber. I'm an author and executive publisher of Washington Avenue Press, where culture, craft, and community converge. I built it, so Washington Avenue is where I grew up in the Bronx, Washington Avenue, and I built this company basically to lift the voices of the community, to allow them to see that you can be a published author, because they look at what I've done and they're just amazed by it. But I'm like, if you got a story, we can put it on paper, just trying to show them the possibility. And of course, at an affordable rate, that they can be published authors and they can be in the Library of Congress and they can be etched in history, just like the Frederick Douglasses, just like the Edgar Allan Poes that we know for generations later. They can be there as well. All you have to do is just publish a book and tell your story.
Well, awesome. I'm being introduced to you through Mr. Cook and also Reverend Brinkley. Both you guys are New Yorkers. Did you know each other when you were in the city, or did you connect once you were here in North Carolina?
We connected once. We hit North Carolina. A mutual friend of ours. I was attending Fayetteville State when I met Miss Janet Brinkley, which was dubbed. She's a certifying official, and what that responsibility is to ensure that military-affiliated students receive payment for their education. Also, that certification ensured that Fayetteville State received payment from the Veterans Administration for students. So at the time that I met Janet Brinkley, James happened to be working there, and when I walked in one day, I heard him speak, and automatically I knew he was from the South Bronx. And I introduced myself to him, and informed him that I'm also from the South Bronx, Alexander Avenue, DeMont Haven section of the South Bronx. And from that day to now, we've always stayed in communication and stuck close.
Well, excellent. That's we have two New Yorkers. I'm sandwiched in between the two New Yorkers this morning. Great pleasure to do so. And
Best sandwiches too.
the Brinkley that he's talking about, she also runs the house that Reverend Carl lives in. So just so.
She used to be my boss at work, man.
Yeah. So,
See where she runs now.
she done bossed everybody around here. Okay, I got you. Let's talk a little bit about you. You know, when you say executive publisher, Mr. Freeman, exactly what does that mean?
Do everything. I publish your books basically, but you come to us, and I'm the overseer of the entire process. So we give publishing experiences. So I don't do publishing deals where I'm fronting you money like a record deal and then you owe me afterwards with royalties. No, all the royalties are yours 100%. We'll help you create a promotional package and get your stuff published wherever you need it to be published. And I just do everything, the editing. You just give me a manuscript, give me an idea, and I'll put the book together. Cover design, everything, all the way to the final editing processing and into the publishing. So that's what an executive publisher is.
So I have one of his books here, Faded into Truth, and clearly it's professional. He got his ISBN number on the back of this, and Washington Avenue Press on this, and so but then he has two paperbacks here. I was involved with this one publisher. I guess about 30 years ago now. He was talking about how, I don't know what they do now, but at one time, hardback, if it went to paperback, generally it was because it sold a lot of sales. It sold well, and it went to paperback. I don't know if they still do that now. But let's talk a little bit about that. A lot of people out there want to say, well, I have a book, okay. And, there was a time when very few people had a book, but I don't know about you, guys, ones listening and viewing this this morning, I encountered quite a few people that say, I have a book, and they are passing their book out. Let's talk about that a little bit, reference hardback versus paperback and all of that.
Okay, well, nowadays, paperback is just a more convenient and affordable option, and also for a mass production, it's affordable for the publisher, the author, and it's also affordable for the buyer. So with that, a lot of people prefer paperback because they're not hardback is more of a collector's item.
Right.
There's beauty. There's a deluxe edition. They can come with dust jackets and certain versions of it. But the paperback is the one that you carry around every day. If you're an actual reader and you read it, you're bending it up. Because there's been times where I had my inventory and somebody just wants to see the book. I'll show them the paperback versus the hardback, because once you open the hardback and you open it far enough, it doesn't feel new anymore. You get what I'm saying? Because you kind of bend that crease, and once you crack it open, so I'm like, yeah, take this one and just look through it and let me know what you think of it. So paperback is kind of just like a convenient option for price wise, but also just to carry around and you get to beat it up, and for mass production as well. Paperback is just good, but it's good to have two versions as well. The only thing is they have to have separate ISBNs. So they're the same production,
okay,
just a separate ISBN. And when it's if you put it in the Library of Congress, all you need to do is put one of them in there, and it'll populate for every version of that same title with different ISBNs.
So because of Kindle and other means where books can be electronic, I often wonder how much has that affected the whole issue of, books that you can put in your hand. I like that. You see what I'm saying? Even some Bible readers, I see some ministers, they operate off of a pad. I like to have the old school paper in front of me. I can flip a page. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm kind of locked into that. I was for a long time a used book junkie. Because you got those used book stores and the cities I know. Some of them were Afrocentric. There was one in Durham and one in Winston-Salem near Winston-Salem State University. And we had a couple here in town, and I've been there all the time, because some of the smaller paperbacks, you could buy for about $1. And so actually, as I was reading them down, I just rip it apart, and I could stick it in my pocket and stuff like that. But I'm not sure a whole lot of people read in that manner anymore. I mean, I don't know, because you have also books, audio, and stuff like that. I think I like listening to that, but I still like having it in my hand too. I like to read it and then listen to it. It seems like I get more out of it. But I know I've said quite a bit there. But what about all that? Where are we now compared to what I was just describing? And I'm dating myself back 30, 40 years.
Well, first things is that that's part of the mission, right? This is part of the mission. But you go to a secondhand bookstore, which I love. I love the smell of them. I grew up in libraries, and I just love that. But that book's already been sold by me. It's already been sold at retail, so now it's just been passed down, and you're getting it for $1. But I already got full price. But all of the other options and avenues for reading and for literature, they're beneficial, and you just have to adapt to that. So when I first published Painting with Words, the first thing I did actually was I did a pre-sale of the ebook.
Okay.
I put it at an affordable rate because I was just working with Amazon, and that created traction.
Okay.
You don't even, I had clients who came in, they would usually tip me. I'd be like, in lieu of tipping me, just buy my ebook for $4. They might tip me $5 or $10. Just buy the ebook for $4 just to help with traction. Shoot, there were people I'd give you $5 just to buy the ebook. So it helps because it with the ebook, especially if you're dealing with Amazon, you get a higher royalty rate for the ebooks, and there's no cost to you. So they get whatever they get out of it, but it's a higher royalty rate, and it's also a convenient sale. It's affordable, so you can sell that at a mass number, versus people getting, because of the lack of popularity in hardcover and paperback physical form books. But while there are so many people who are interested in like the convenience of having audiobooks read to you, audiobooks shouldn't be for kids. I would never make an audiobook for a child because they need to read. I'll make ebooks for children, but I'll never make an audiobook for a child. But as far as the convenience goes, you just got to adapt to those things. But there's a mission. There's a lot of people, a huge amount of people who read, that are avid readers, that are still into the classic reading, that are trying to bring this type of stuff back. And I think it works better for the local author. It works better for the independent author because they get more direct support from people, so they have a tangible thing that you're getting, and this is a person, you're meeting them at the start of their career. If something blows up, hey, I got this first. So they mean a lot. And especially another thing is just the quality and the designs of the books. It's the content 100%, but the quality and the designs of the book, they make people want to have them. They make people want to collect them. I had people for months while I was letting people know that I was putting that book out, Painting with Words, putting orders on deck, like, I want the first one, I want the first one, I want this one, I want that one. And they got it, and they're not even reading it, they collect it. Some people bought the paperback just to read it and bought the hardcover just to have it. So there's a huge population of people that are still into reading and having physical books, especially with children. Like my daughter, Journey, she's 7 years old. She had a whole library before she was born. Like her nursery was built with books on shelves on the walls, and hundreds of books. She was with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library up until she was 5. So, yeah, people still want physical books. It's just the convenience. And most people who bought physical books, they'll just have the audiobook version as well.
So now, kind of break down for people that might be listening, when you say audiobook, ebook, describe and define that. There's some people that, I'm sure they've heard the terminology. However, they may not fully understand what you mean when you use those terms.
Hey, well, the ebook version is just an electronic format of the book where you don't have to have a physical book, and you can read it on your, I guess Kindle might have started that, I believe, and Amazon.
I know, because I had a Kindle one time as a gift, and I'll be honest with you, I I couldn't. I
couldn't get with it
I couldn't
either.
get through that.
I couldn't do it.
I couldn't
wife
get into
does.
that either, you know what I mean? So I was too old school, you know. But look, I think I'm good because, you know, I'm a Trekkie, right? And so
Oh,
to my Star Trek. And
Yes.
I was too young.
my my most favorite Star Trek is Star Trek: The Next Generation. And so Picard, you know, this. I guess it was in 20. You know, that's like 100 years removed from where we are now, but still, you know, the background of the what they say that they're in. But he always had hardcore books, you know, and he would be talking about that, and people looking at him like, why you walking around with that, man? You know, people don't,
Yes.
you know, because they have the tablet form of things, but I don't want to read a whole book like that. I think there are some books that are free. I do download some things that are free, and I look through it like that. However, doing research, but just to have a book, I want to have the physical book. And I'm like you, I got a lot of books. I mean, I got my little African American history section. I got the religious section. I'm not a fiction reader. I just prefer nonfiction. That just happens to be my preference. And the same thing, I did the same thing with my daughter. And she's still, to this day, she's 37, an avid book reader. And she been reading them that thick, man, you know.
It's those seeds that you instill in your kids, and it's important.
But her mom's an English school teacher, too, so she got a lot of that from seeing her mom reading stuff like Gone with the Wind. I'm like, I thought that was crazy. I mean, 'cause that was like, that book was like 2 inches thick, man. But I ain't gonna do that anyway. But anyway, very exciting piece, though. And I believe, though, that the whole reading thing, not that you are an educator, and you and I were talking yesterday, and you was talking about not using the word curriculum, but still, I think it's so powerful that people that read, you know, if you are a reader, I think you just in a whole different class of individual, or you're different, not more or less than, but readers are very different people from people that are non-readers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Readers are thinkers, and it's about retaining information. You're training your brain when you're reading
Right.
to keep. I mean, how many movies have you watched or comedy sketches have you seen where you can recite them word for word? You know, from cover to cover. You give me any movie, my favorite movie, all the way to the opening music. I can, you know, I can mimic the music from the beginning. But well, I am an educator. I'm not a licensed teacher, but I am an
Okay, okay.
educator. I'm a licensed barber instructor, and I've also taught. I've taken the effective teacher training, and I worked in the substitute system for many years in Cumberland and Harnett County, and I've done long-term substitute assignments, so I know how to follow curriculum and teach with curriculum guides and everything. I don't use the word curriculum because I'm not a licensed teacher, and there's a lot of red tape with that, but a lot of my stuff is curricular friendly.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have companion guides and everything, because everything that I write is with a purpose, especially my creative nonfiction books. So to introduce it, I have a series called The Thought Bubble, and I have it's based off of me and my brothers growing up in the Bronx during the 1980s and 1990s. Just every day is just a regular day where something that might be small in hindsight, but was big to a child in that day, and just how to get through certain things. It teaches us about, you know, emotional development, using what many should call a superpower now, is common sense, and just learning how not to panic. So I have one called An Honest Day's Work, and the slogan for this book series is "Trouble often knocks, but imagination answers first." And that's me and my two brothers. We always shared the same thought bubble because we were always thinking the same thing at the same time.
Awesome.
Imagination, the games we played, and it helped us stay out of trouble. So the first book, An Honest Day's Work, was a real story about a time, and I'm not romanticizing trauma, so you might hear something bad that went on, but immediately we're working to fix the problem, and it's showing us how to be emotionally sound with these things, and to be practical with what we do. So One time my mom had lost her job at White Castle, and I overheard these things. And at the time, they had cut off our food stamps too. We grew up on welfare and food stamps at that time. That's not in the book, but we just know that my mom was sad and she felt defeated, and we needed to step in and help. You remember the recycling the bottles, getting the nickel for the.
Oh yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
And we actually, a friend of mine, my best friend, who actually owns his own restaurant right now. He's been cooking since he was 7.
Okay.
And he had came along, and he was trying to help. And the only way he knew was like, but I knew it was something different about him because he knew ingredients, what you needed. And he was trying to basically encourage us to go, hey, we can just take it from the very store that gives us money for recycling bottles.
Yes.
We thought better of it that night before. We were playing store. Sure. With imaginary groceries and everything, with the little currency that we had from the bottles that we cashed in. And we were like, hey, we thinking about the different stores that we can go to, the little Hispanic stores, bodegas, and they're like, oh no, we don't have, they don't have any space. But then we're like, what about Mr. T's Meat Market?
Yeah, I heard that. Well, look here. We're going to go to a break. Good information.
Sure.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. We have Mr. Freeman and Mr. Cook, and we are actually talking about authors and reading. This is exciting to me. I hope that you're paying attention what he's saying now. It probably went over your head, but he mentioned White Castle. Now, some of us know what he's talking about.
I'm a living result of that.
That's it. Here too.
You got to understand. Does White Castle still exist? I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, it is.
They
Right
still
on
around?
Webster
Okay.
Avenue.
Okay, right. I heard that. Anyway, look, we'll be right back for more inside of the morning show. Again, give us a call if you have a question. I'm gonna let you field some calls as well. 910-483-6111. The subject is reading. Okay, all right. We'll be right back.
Possible clue in the search for Nancy Guthrie, authorities are looking into a pair of black gloves found near her home. In-person early voting for North Carolina's 2026 primary elections begins today, giving voters the chance to determine who will face off in November's general election. As North Carolina works to battle the spread of measles, health officials are working to give proper information to the public. Attorney General Pam Bondi had several heated exchanges with lawmakers over the Justice Department's handling of the Epstein files. During a hearing yesterday, Secretary General Mark Rutte said ahead of a meeting for NATO defense ministers on Thursday that the U.S. is leading the peace effort. Tax experts say that 2025 came with some of the largest tax law changes in the last 50 years. Mike Traley, NCI News.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. At about 7 p.m. on Tuesday, Fayetteville police went out to the 1900 block of Daphne Circle in reference to a reported stabbing. When they got there, officers located 49-year-old Catherine Savaldi suffering from stab wounds. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Detectives have arrested and charged the victim's son, 17-year-old Isaac Tracy, with first-degree murder. Both Savaldi and Tracy were residents of the home. Tracy is being held without bond. Join Cumberland County for Coffee with the Commissioners. The quarterly events give you the chance to connect directly with your county commissioners and talk about topics that matter to you. The first event is Wednesday, February 18th in the town of Spring Lake Town Hall, located at 300 Ruth Street, Spring Lake, 6 until 7 p.m. Light refreshments will be provided. Let your voice be heard, share your ideas, and learn more about what's happening in Cumberland County. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Monticelli.
Good Thursday morning. We start your day with mostly clear skies and temperatures colder in the low to mid 30s. By this afternoon, we'll see mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Highs will be cooler this afternoon, only reaching the low to mid 50s. Even colder overnight and into Friday morning with mostly clear skies. Temperatures drop to the upper 20s and low 30s. Then on Friday, plenty of sunshine throughout the day. Highs similar, reaching the low to mid 50s by the afternoon. For the North Carolina News Network, I'm meteorologist Grant Skinner in the Weather Center.
Are you looking for an opportunity to serve the community? Become a part of the decision-making in the City of Fayetteville government and apply to fill an upcoming vacancy on our boards and commissions. You can apply now through January 31st by visiting fayetteville.nc.gov/boards. Click on the red Apply button found in the middle of the page. Boards and commissions are a great way for residents to engage in their community and help build a greater Fayetteville.
I am thrilled to share the honor of receiving an endorsement from the Union Food and Commercial Workers and the North Carolina State AFL-CIO. Let us reflect on the powerful words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The time is always right to do what is right. I am Charles Evans, your dedicated candidate for County Commissioner at Large. Together, we can carry this essential work forward on your behalf. For bold and intentional leadership, vote Charles Evans for County Commissioner at Large. Paid for by the committee to elect Charles Evans.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Now, all across North Carolina, it's Carolina Newsmakers. Each week, leaders from politics, education, business, and the arts join Don Curtis to share insights and ideas shaping our state. Hear interviews that go beyond the headlines with guests who know North Carolina best. Listen on the radio stations throughout North Carolina and on demand at carolinanewsmakers.com.
I'm Tony Stewart, and I don't just talk about service, I live it. I've served on the Board of Commissioners, and today I serve as Regional 6 Director of the Department of Social Services Institute, supporting families and strengthening our community. I was also appointed by former Governor Roy Cooper to the North Carolina Health Coordinating Committee, bringing our voices to the state level. I stand for smart growth, livable wages, strong schools, and safer neighborhoods. Vote for me, and you get proven leadership that works for people, not politics. Remember Tony Stewart. Together, let's move Cumberland County forward. Paid for by the committee to elect Tony Stewart for County Commissioner at Large.
At Fayetteville State University, you will do something you thought you could never do. And never say never again. With NC Promise $500 per semester tuition, dare to see where you can go. Check out all your options, including our new cybersecurity program. Because tomorrow just can't wait. Fayetteville State University. Anything really can happen. Are you in?
Thank you coming back inside about 20 minutes before the top of the hour here. Again, we have Mr. Freeman here. He has his book written and illustrated by Freezy the Barber. This is The Thought Bubble. He talked about that. And this is, again, one of his books here. And like I said, executive publisher and author. And so, but what about those individuals that excited, Mr. Freeman, or want to become an author? I see a lot of Christian-based or faith-based books out there too. What about the steps of someone going to do this? Let's talk about that. I mean, I'm sure there's multiple ways to get there, but you're a professional. Someone comes to you, that's something they want to do. They want to become an author. What are you, in your meeting with them, what are you talking about initially, and the road map for them to get to where they need to be. Talk about that a little bit.
Hey, well, the first thing upon meeting them, I'll just tell them to log on to www.washingtonavenuepress.com and just go to Publish with Us and fill out the form. There's an interest form there where you can give me as little or as much information as you want for your project, how far you are with it, what made you want to become a writer, what your story is about, and I'll help you from there. That's it.
Okay. So now, these #1 bestsellers, I see those, and they're still out there now. I guess at one time, Oprah was probably boosting a lot of people's book sales, just talking about their book on her show when she had a show going on. What about that? I mean, because I guess that's the #1 selling book is that's about volume, right?
It's about volume. It's about popularity, I guess, individual popularity, but also that can happen in a split second. Let's pick Amazon, for instance. Everybody's not going to be in the New York Times. There are billions of books being produced, hundreds of millions of books on Amazon. My books are always at least in the top 1,000,000 at any given time, right? But at any split second, for instance, when I put out A Sweet Potato Pie for Santa and I, which was published first in 2019, it was it was in a cookbook section, and it made it to number 64 in the top 100 cookbooks on Amazon. There were millions of cookbooks out there.
Right.
And it was always right before Patti LaBelle's Sweet Potato Pie. Okay, like, I'm 99, she's 100. I'm 96, she's 97. Always. So it felt good. You take a screenshot, because that #1 bestseller position could literally be for 12 seconds.
Right.
You screenshot, you were a #1 bestseller, and that's what you got under your book. That doesn't mean that I'm currently the #1 book. That just means that at some point I gauged whatever listing there was, and I screenshot it, and I was #1. That's all that means, because this stuff is being sold electronically.
Sure.
So they're tallying and they're selling. It's about presence. It's about the algorithm. That's why I tried to push my ebook as a pre-sale to kind of get traction on the algorithm before I even published or put out the paperback and the physical formats of it. So it's any given second. Oprah, I mean, she's Oprah, so if she says, I want my book to be #1 bestseller, it'll just be #1 bestseller. But somebody else, let's say my name is John Smith, and I put out a book and I got some traction because my family and friends looked out and it got popular for 1 minute, or I was selling for that 30 minutes. I sold 50 books in 30 minutes. That's the #1 book right now because it's moving faster than anything. Even though the #2 book sold 2 million, you sold 50, but in the past 30 minutes.
Sure.
So all it is an algorithm. You just screenshot it. Hey, I'm #1. That's it. I've done that many a times. Yeah. I've been #1 quite a few times in particular categories.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Wow. Interesting. Did not know that.
Yeah, but I do know that. Now, I'm dating back to the early 90s. I was out in Texas, and this guy, he was a pretty well-known author, but he would have his paperbacks. He said over 20,000 copies sold. But guess what? He bought the 20,000 copies. So it was not. But he was passing them out, He was a gifted individual with the book. But that increased his viability as well by saying a certain number of copies have been sold.
Yeah. I mean, if they're recorded sales, they're sales.
Right.
Same as a sale.
Exactly.
Even if he bought it.
Yes.
That's just exciting. I mean, I just like the whole idea of reading, certainly. And I just, I tease people sometimes, they debate me about things. I said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. If your TV screen is bigger than your bookcase, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not saying you don't know anything, but how much do you know? I just think that when it comes to books and certainly getting young people involved and for them wanting to know, even if it comes to reading a comic book, because I still have some comic books. I know the place is no longer there because they tore the building down the street. But man, they have comic books, and I remember growing up reading Spider-Man, Superman, you know, all of these comic books. I'm just a believer that if a young person is reading, I don't care what they're reading, let them read it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Let them start somewhere. I mean, how do you feel about that? You think that's a good idea? A brother and say, no, I want you to read this, but you know, don't limit their ability to read something based upon what you think ought to be important. If they're reading, let them read.
Absolutely, and I have 3 grandchildren, and that's exactly what I do. I let them choose. Matter of fact, at one of James's book signings, I took all my 3 of my grandchildren with me just so that I can expose them to events like that. And when I looked at the books that James had at the signing event, I didn't choose the book for my grandchildren. I allowed them to pick out what they may enjoy reading. And what was fascinating about that is one of my granddaughters, when she purchased her book, she actually read the book to the other children in the daycare center.
Oh, wow.
And
My
I
wife
said,
told me about
wow,
that, man. That was
look
nice.
at that. And I think that was the result of letting her choose what interests her versus me choosing it for them.
Mm-hmm. And there's a few things that I can touch with that as well. So my 3rd book for the series, which I don't have, it'll be here today actually, is called The Unbelievable Truth, The Thought Bubble, The Unbelievable Truth.
Okay.
And it expresses how we had different types of learners. Back then, I was a different type of learner, but we didn't have the language for that, and now we do. That's why teachers are so attracted to that title and that book. So I was a kid I was the smartest kid in my elementary school. Any grade I was smarter than the 6th graders. You know?
Wow, okay.
But I did what I was interested in doing. So that book is about me never doing my homework and always holding down the boys. I was the liability with the tallies of getting treats at the end of the week. Until one time, my niece felt bad about the ridicule. My niece was in my class. She felt bad about the ridicule that I was experiencing from the boys, and she did my homework for me. And I just couldn't hold on to the lie because I was afraid of the consequence if I was found out, because I was always on Front Street, you know, right under the spotlight. The teacher believed me, and it got to the point where I was trying to prove my guilt instead of my innocence. and it helped because I didn't get credit for the homework, but I got credit for telling the truth.
Okay.
All the way to college. You go to college, I mean, I'm a writer, but I'm not really I'm an academic writer for what I want to write about.
Right.
I got A's on both of my English classes that I took in college, but I hated that I had to write what they told me to write about.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like reading is an exercise. Right. It doesn't matter as long as it's not poison. It doesn't matter what you read. There are comic book fans who read comic books and they become comic book writers.
Right.
Oh, and my wife went to the same high school as Stan Lee, by the way.
Oh, wow.
I went to the same school as Lee Harvey Oswald.
Okay.
But yeah, so reading, it's an exercise. I was reading history books. I was writing. My first poem was published at 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
In the Scholastic Calendar. So, and my mom helped me with that and my art teacher. So I was reading and doing things that I wanted to do. I learned about the American Revolutionary War, all kinds of things. I just didn't feel like doing that. Knew the answers, never wrote them down. I got 99s on the citywide, they call it the EOGs now.
Right.
I got 99s on the citywide math test only because the automatic grading system was only 2 digits. So that means I got everything right. I was getting everything right. So I knew it, I just was understimulated. I was a different type of learner. We have language for that now. I was bad, undisciplined, and lazy. But now kids have all kinds of different diagnoses that helps with where teachers and administrators can get them the right help and approach them correctly. We didn't have that.
Right. Well, you know, I was way off the, I was not like you. I was middle of the pack at best. But I did see this, though, and I believe this, and I don't know, and perhaps an educator can call in and help me out here. I believe the one's ability to read and comprehend, the speed of which you could do that sometimes influences whether or not they choose to read, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
So I write a column now. It's about 500 words, and somebody said, "Well, when I get a chance, I'm like, you should be able to read that, in just a couple of minutes. 500 words. It's not a whole lot to consume there. You know what I mean? And then one time I was writing about 1,000 words when I was writing for the Federal Observer. But but there are people that if you read very slow, I think that affects them and their like I say, enthusiasm to read. This is one thing that helped me. I was in the military, and I got out, Vietnam vet, and I started school at FTCC. I got a degree there before I went to Federal State. And I took this speed reading course. And I'm telling you, I was doing about 1,300 words a minute with 80% comprehension.
Oh, wow.
And so that changed my whole life, because now I can consume more of things and not be there with it all day, And I just believe that helps people. Now, not only that, the classes I was in that required me to read, I changed a whole letter grade because I could consume more.
Wow.
So I know there's some people that have their own feelings about speed reading, but I think that, if you're reading newspapers and things like that, not necessarily technical manuals or something like that, I believe that, changing your ability or increasing your ability to read with speed and comprehend, it's a game changer, and I'm a middle pack student. I was not like my man here. You know what I'm saying? But still, if you can consume a lot of stuff and pretty quickly, you know what I mean, that I think that it may increase your ability and your enthusiasm with reading.
Absolutely.
How would you respond to my little scenario?
The key word is comprehension.
Yeah, right.
Speed
Comprehension,
reading
right.
is just not teaching you to read fast. It's teaching you comprehension. But as a writer, and this goes to all authors, especially for children, I'm very strategic with those types of things, with the creative nonfiction. It's about pacing. Chapter cover titles they're like checkpoints in a race. The longer it takes to get to, the next chapter, the kid's gonna go, they're not gonna be pacing through the book. They're just gonna be like, oh man, how long is this one gonna be? So if there is an informative chapter where there's a lot of emotional weight, there's a lot of changes, there's a lot of story weight to it that it needs to be, let's say a chapter is 5 pages long. That's a long chapter for an early children's book.
Right.
The next chapter's gotta be a palate cleanser. It's gotta be descriptive. It's gotta be 2.5 pages where it's got some humor, but you can still kind of just describe it without too much dialogue between speaking characters, and then move on to the next chapter. Even with adult reading, even if you go to Painting with Words, they got a lot of little epilogues and stuff. They're palate cleansers, especially with emotionally heavy. There's a lot of Black women empowerment. I've got love and sensuality. I have a poem called Pheromone in there.
Okay.
And you can imagine what that's about. And then the next one is called Felt Without Touch, just talking about long distance relationships, friendship, and everything. So you got to pace your things and have it where you taking the reader on a journey, but you also have to understand that they're doing you a favor by reading your stuff. You don't want to have something that's just heavy and give them the obligation to read. Reading should be a privilege. It should be a fun activity to do, and you should also write to entertain. These kids are going to be entertained by these books. I got some little inside jokes that are like age-old jokes that the kids will catch on. I write them metaphorically, but it's still emotionally heavy because it's something that's going through the kid's mind. So taking the kid, speaking about children's books, I put them right in there with me. I'm speaking in third person, close third person, but the reader is immediately in the story with the child, and they're going on a journey without being lectured, without being talked at, and just being guided. And I create intentional gray areas to create classroom discussion so the kids can have their own opinion about things, but they're also going on a journey and figuring things out along with the kid. It's not just, this is the lesson, don't steal from the store, don't talk back. No, you realize things from subtle things that happen, and the kid's like, oh, wow, my 7-year-old, she tests all of my products.
Right.
She's been reading them, and she loves them. She gets to see her dad as a child. I get to be a child with her, and as a 44-year-old man, I get to see me and my child being kids together, and her expanding her mind and learning from my real personal experiences. Because these things are not a big deal to me as an adult, but as a child, they were a big deal. And for her to experience that, I just said, "You want to read the book about when I did something silly?" "You did something silly, Dad?" And she's excited, and she's already locked in. She gets in there, she's with me, and she loves the book. So, and she's a great reader as well. She reads in Spanish and English.
Yes.
But that helps. That gives these kids the incentive to read. It's got to be like an episode of a television show, but they're getting a lesson from it without you shoving it down their throats.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's truly exciting. Our time is almost up here. This has been a great conversation we're having. Quickly, though, for adult books, I know this one consultant, and I'm going back again prior to everything being electronic now, was saying that because there are book reviewers, he was stating that book reviewers probably don't read no more than 5 or 6 chapters deep.
Mm-hmm.
They don't read the whole book, and that if you're writing, you need to kind of get, what you want to say in those first chapters. They're not, if you got a 15 chapter book or something like that, those first 5 or 6 chapters need to be meaty for the book reviewer. Is that?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And then a lot of them, they skim. They'll get to the end of it, but they skim through
Right.
the books. But the thing about that is they got to be meaty, absolutely. But you still have to take them on a journey. You can't hit, like, you just can't, like, romanticize trauma in the book.
Right.
Because everybody who's got a story, anybody who used to, especially people that look like us, when they talk about a story, it's trauma. We've all gone through trauma. Me and Jules, we grew up in the South Bronx. And, a long time before me, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s, the height of the crack epidemic. There's trauma, but there's also lessons. And lessons come from my sisters, that grew up and were unfortunately subjected to that stuff, and seeing their missteps shaped and saved our youth. There's a poem in there in Painted with Words called The Nine Before Me. And just seeing those things, but even growing up in NYCHA, and you can attest to this too as well, we know that a lot of this stuff was designed to keep us bubbled in and boxed in, but there were people who were in positions that looked like us, that put us in positions to where we didn't go starving, we still had programs, we were still enriched. So just not having that trauma porn, for lack of a better word, and just guiding the reader to something and getting places in the book without just hitting it with something heavy, because everybody's got that.
Sure. Well, look, quickly I'd say this, that to my Christian brothers and sisters, for the people that don't like to read, I think it inhibits, your ability to grow spiritually if you're going to be using the scriptures, the Bible, is what we refer to as the Bible, as a basis. Because, look, I believe that's a difficult book to read anyway. And if you're struggling, it's particularly, when you're in those major minor prophets there, it can be extremely difficult trying to get through all of that. But I just, again, reading is just such a powerful thing to do. Look, I've enjoyed you immensely. How about giving some contact information again, Mr. Freeman, for individuals that want to connect with you on this, and we pray your great success.
Thank you.
You are multi-talented. I might talk to you about my beard trying. And
oh, you're gonna get that right. You got one.
He gonna hook me up.
That's salt and pepper, man. Right. I'm trying to get there.
Stick around long enough, it'll happen.
Well, hopefully.
But anyway, final comments from you, sir.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank everybody for listening, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk and exhibit my work. This is a community effort, and I'm really trying to build and lift the voices of the community. You can follow me anywhere at Freezy the Barber, Freezy the Barber, and Washington Avenue Press on any social media outlet. Washington Avenue Press. You can follow me there, and WashingtonAvenuePress.com. WashingtonAvenuePress.com is where you can get everything that you need. Any upcoming events, if you want to purchase books from there, you can purchase it there. And my books are available anywhere books are sold. And if you want to talk to me about publishing, there's a link, Publish With Us. You just click on that link, you can fill out the form, and we can get the ball rolling. If you got a story, you got a book.
Mr. Cook, Mr. Freeman, Reverend Doctor, we out of here. You all have a great rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in with us. 1600 AM, 99.7, the Widu Radio Network. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.